What's up, everyone? We are all 49ers in the new 5-person layout, which I like. It kind of looks like Around the Horn, but we're not. And we stole their entire format, but we're not using their name for copyright rules. So this is the round table, courtesy of all 49ers. I'm Grant Cohn. We got Jack Hammer, Leo Luna, Jose Sanchez, Maverick Palick. Today, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with the Niners matchup with the Seahawks and then get into other Niners topics. First topic, Maverick, you start us and we'll go around. What are the keys to stopping this particular version of the Seahawks offense? It used to be a run-first offense. Now it's bombs away, and it ranks number 1 in yards and points.
I'd like to see something similar, although it was a losing effort, what Buffalo did to Kansas City a couple weeks ago, where they just dared them to run, kind of put a lot of guys outside, say, you can have the middle and just see what happens. I'm not really sold on what DJ Dallas can do. We'll see if Carlos Hyde, which I'm sure 49er fans still have plenty of opinions about him, what he can do if he's active. But I think they kind of need to do their best to keep Russell Wilson out of the outside and being able to chuck it deep to Lockett and DK.
I think the best way to stop in their offense with the 49ers offense, right? So at least you control the clock, do what they do best, play to your own strength while also making them not play to their strength. If there's multiple offense possessions, limiting how many Russell Wilson can get. And I fully expect that to be Kyle Shanahan's job because you know how conservative thinking he is about like, hey, I just want to drain the clock and just limit the other team's possessions, run the ball. It's going to be very interesting to see how much he really wants to trust Hasty with that case, and I say just run them till the wheels fall off because I think Hasty's more than ready for that opportunity. So the more you can drain the clock, drain the defense, keep Russell Wilson on that sideline, it's like a win-win for your defense to become more efficient, and at least to the offensive side, you're going to be straight steamrolling that defense throughout.
So even though you said that they're a bombs-away offense, they still love to run the ball, and they don't want to get away from that. So the key to stopping them is just making them completely one-dimensional, make their running game straight up unsuccessful, and make them go bombs away, because if you do that, you can end up with the Arizona Cardinal game where Russell ends up giving you a couple of free balls, and you turn that into your advantage, especially as I would expect the 49ers offense to manage the clock. And I think that's where it's got to go, just make them completely one-dimensional.
I like that answer. Jack.
Yeah, to stop Seattle, you need to stop Wilson. That's where it starts and stops. And really, the way that I want to see the Niners get after him is what we saw on Sunday night. I thought Arizona did a great job of not over-rushing the passer. They didn't really have a lot of stunts and twists. Pretty much everything was a straight rush by the front four. And then they bring the pressure looks, and those are always coming off of the edge. So, that's really what I want to see this week. It's one of the things that the other thing, too, that I think Arizona did a great job is when they did come off the edge, they weren't rushing deep. They were rushing kind of shallow, hitting them right at the drop point. It was really good on their part.
You guys had great answers. I'm gonna add to those. I think everything you guys said is correct. General principles against Russell Wilson. Obviously, edge containment is something we talk about every week. It's important. I think, the Niners are a big man coverage team. They like to do 2-man, which is 2 safeties high. You can't do that this week. Impossible. If you do 2-man against Russell Wilson, he'll run for 18 yards, 20 yards, 24 yards, and he'll lose. So that's off the table. What they got to do is cover 1. If they do man coverage, it's one free safety and a spy or a blitz. I would be in you got to mix it up, but blitzing is going to work. What you want to do is either cover 1 or cover 3. You don't want to give up the deep pass. Russell Wilson is almost impatient. He doesn't really like checking down and playing like Tom Brady. He wants to go deep. Don't let him do it. Keep everything in front of you. And then also, generally, his go-to guy is Tyler Lockett, not DK Metcalf. Metcalf is really good, but Metcalf will get like 3 balls a game. Lockett is his guy. Do not let Lockett go off on you. And that means if you are playing zone, maybe you want to put a man lock on him and play zone everywhere else just so he doesn't beat you. Those are general principles against the Seahawks. And then finally, you got to look at what the Cardinals did in overtime. If you watch what they did in overtime, they just shut down this offense with anytime the Seahawks were in shotgun, 11 personnel, 10 personnel, this team, the Cardinals either blitzed or showed blitz and dropped out, and the Seahawks didn't have an answer for either of them. It seems like their protection scheme is all messed up, and the Niners have to pressure it, stress it early to see if they have answers, because if they don't, this is going to be an easy win. So blitz the hell out of Russell Wilson. If you rush 4 all game, you're going to lose because he's just going to chill in the pocket, and there'll be one gap that he can escape out of, and he can extend the play and hold it, and then he's a playmaker, and you're screwed. But if you blitz him and force him to get rid of the ball quickly and make him just a distributor, you saw what happened in overtime, and he just threw it up to Isaiah Simmons, and that didn't look like a Hall of Fame quarterback right there. So that was a thesis on how to stop the best defense in the league. It's difficult. The offense in the league, it's difficult. But I think if they follow what we just laid out, and it's Thursday, I mean, they have time. They still haven't even implemented the red zone game plan yet. So I think we've given them ample opportunity. Jack, next topic. What is the key for the Niners to exploit the 32nd ranked Seahawks defense?
I wrote about this a little bit earlier this week. They really need to come out and use Juszczyk, keep him on the field all the time, and really just go after him with what they've been doing. I don't think they really need to change up what we've seen from them the last couple of weeks, and take advantage of Seattle in some mid-range balls down the field. But just really keep doing what you've been doing, and you'll be successful.
I would say attack the middle of the field in the passing game because they haven't been good in that. Bobby Wagner was actually the worst linebacker in coverage last season, and he hasn't improved at all this season. So I would expect George Kittle to have a big game, but also Kendrick Bourne. They love using those 12 to 15-yard digs with Kendrick Bourne in the middle of the field. I would expect those to be open all day. So this secondary is not good in the middle of the field, and I'm attacking that all day with the 49ers, and it will help maybe getting Garoppolo some play actions. And then you have a little Y leak as well. That just this defense is not good. And if you can mess with them psychologically, it should be open all day for the 49ers.
Yeah, it's 100% going to be open all day. So run the ball early and often, and then eventually the whole playbook's going to be off limits where you can even just straight up start chucking it, just straight gashing them, leak it, boot it, whatever you want to do. I feel like they're going to take advantage. I mean, I know some people want to say, oh, look at the yards they're giving up. And of course, it's because opposing offenses are playing catch up. And it's true. It's true. It's like, hey, it's not as terrible as it is. But I mean, compared to my eyes, if I'm trying to think knowing Kyle Shanahan with the talent he has, even though he's without Debo and Raheem Mostert, they're still a terrible defense. He's still going to steamroll them. And I'm kind of expecting something similar. Maybe not Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'm expecting something similar of how dominant they were the last time they were in Seattle. So run that ball early, and exactly what Jack and Leo said in terms of same game plan, keep it simple, and then just run those nice little confusing patterns. And then it's just going to be a psychological abuse out there.
You can probably beat Seattle by throwing it deep a couple times, but why would you get away from what's working so well by running the ball? Seattle has played 3 straight games where they've given up 103, 201, and 159 rushing yards the last 3 games. And that was against one of those was Minnesota, which, as we can see, is not the best offense, but they stuck to running the ball. Miami, if they didn't just get into that field goal trap game, they probably could have beat the Seahawks too. And then Arizona obviously did beat the Seahawks. So if the 49ers stick to the run, don't fall for that trap of an arms race, because Russell Wilson will beat them in that. They need to control the ball, run the ball, and that's how they can win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, my only question is, when you're going up against a terrible defense, I think everything's available. Pass rush stinks. The run defense stinks. The secondary's good, but they can't cover forever. So to me, the only way the Niners screw this up is if Shanahan starts doing that thing where, like, he starts Tevin Coleman and gives him like 15 carries. And it's like they just play all the wrong players. As long as they get Brandon Ayuk 8 touches, Kittle 8 touches, Jermichael Hasty 11 touches, they should be fine. But if it's one of these games where the ball's going to Coleman and McKinnon and Trent Taylor, it's like, well, God, I mean, I don't know. So as long as they just use the players correctly, they should be fine. And that's really my question with the Niners is personnel usage. It's almost like Shanahan isn't watching practice. He's like letting his dad tell him over the phone who he thinks should be playing and who he thinks is good. It's like, nah, man, it's obvious. It's clear to all of us. You got to just play Jermichael Hasty, get Brandon Ayuk a little bit more involved and actually throw to anyone besides Trent Taylor, and you'll be fine. That's what I say. I don't know.
Say your famous Tevin Coleman line, please.
Oh, I forget how I did, but it was like, I predict that he'll be on the field for the first snap of the game, receive the handoff, and gain 3 yards.
If you got to the finger wag, actually helped. Actually put the hit. That made it better.
I swear, if he's on the field for the first play of the game, I'm thinking, anything could happen. If it's Hasty, if it's anyone else, I'm like, okay, Shanahan's serious. He's not going to mess around. But when Coleman's in the game, I'm like, all right, well, you're just wasting a possession here. Maybe I'm I mean, not every time, but most of the time with Coleman, it's a wasted possession. That's just the way I feel.
I could see a scenario where, and you'll hate this, where Tevin Coleman or Jerick McKinnon, if McKinnon plays more, get a couple more snaps if Jamal Adams is out there just because of the blitzing ability. And they're probably more reliable in pass blocking than Hasty. Hasty's definitely a better weapon out of the backfield. But that could be a way that Shanahan does get Coleman on the field for your anger.
Great point.
That makes sense.
That's fair.
But Jamal Adams ain't going to be out there for a while, from what I hear.
Oh, snap.
Jamal Adams, pass rushing legend.
Sources, rumors. Okay, next question.
Name drop.
Jimmy Garoppolo, does he need to play great in this game for the Niners to win? It's hard to win in Seattle historically. Maverick. It's Maverick? It's Maverick.
Yeah, I think he just has to take care of the ball. If you consider last week great by Garoppolo, then yeah, he has to play great. But if you think he wasn't that good last week, which he wasn't perfect last week, then no, he doesn't have to play great. If he takes care of the ball, which he didn't do twice last week, and hands the ball off, gets those swings and shovels, they should be able to control the ball and win.
Does he need to play great? No, of course not. He doesn't need to be great. We just slandered their defense in full. Why would they need Garoppolo to play great? But
hey, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about it. Come on, man. We gotta get the wheel spinning. But
Right.
no, I don't think they need him to be great. But I don't even think he can be great because Garoppolo is a player that really needs like his full offense there. He needs Samuel out there, and I know Mostert's not. I know they had Wilson. Like, oh look, they just had the fourth runner, so they don't need Mostert. Like, all right, I like to see that he needs someone there, like everyone there, for him to actually really touch the ceiling and beyond. I mean, just the fact that week 17 of last season, all of a sudden, all their pieces were together, including defense, and look, they take off, and he just straight discombobulates that defense. So they don't need him to be, and I don't think he'll be. But I mean, hey, if he does, man, 2-3 weeks ago, all that slander, like he's looked in a greater light than any of us could have imagined.
True.
So I think what Maverick said was on point. I don't think he needs to be great. I think he actually needs to be game manager. Here goes the keys to the Ferrari. Just don't crash it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
And that'll win the 49ers a game against this 32nd defense. So he just needs to go out there, manage the clock, complete these dinks and dunks, and then eventually complete your over 10-yard passes as well at a 70% clip, and they'll be fine.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah, no, Garoppolo doesn't need to be great, but he needs to be way better than he was last week. I know that we're talking about Seattle's defense being 32nd and whatnot, but they've done enough to keep them in every game.
Right.
When the game's close at the end of the game, they usually step up and make the plays. So really what we need to see from Garoppolo is he needs to be able to hit some of these throws that he's missing. Maybe not even missing, but not even throwing the ball on some of these balls that are where he's got guys open a little bit further down the field. So I think that's what it's going to take for them to win this week.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think Seattle ranks very high in turnovers forced. And if you remember, right, Jimmy Garoppolo committed 2 turnovers last week. A lot of Niner fans want to let him off the hook for the second one. Fine. But he can't – what he did on that play, he can't do in this game. You can't be late. You can't stare it down. If you're going to throw deep, you got to let it go right away. He can't as Leo said, he's got to be game manager Jimmy. He can't turn the ball over at all because they can win with him being game manager Jimmy. They can win with him being Alex Smith. Just do that. Don't turn the ball over. And hit a couple of passes down the field because the book is out on him now that he doesn't really feel that comfortable throwing down the field right now. Maybe it's his ankle. Maybe it's the offensive line. Squat on the underneath stuff. Force him to throw deep. It should be wide open. I mean, you saw how wide open Brandon Ayuk was last. There's going to be a couple like that, and you don't even have to hit him in stride. Just don't flat out miss him the way you missed Juszczyk that time, and Nick Mullins missed Juszczyk too. That's it. I think they win this game. Let's stick with Garoppolo. What is the key for his continued improvement this season? He was kind of on the brink there for a second, and it seems like Shanahan has brought him back from rock bottom, and now he's playing better and developing confidence. So what is the key for him to continue this trajectory moving forward? Jack.
I just think he needs to get his mechanics in line a little bit better and start using his legs when he's throwing the ball and just be confident and not shy away from hits. I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing with him right now in these last couple of weeks.
Let's stick with that real quick because we did a film breakdown, and the first pick that he threw, what did you see and how does that apply to what you just said?
Well, he's got a free rusher coming off of a twist up front, and he's pretty much jumping out of the way as he's throwing the ball. So his feet are down, but as soon as he's throwing it, he's bailing. So we really need to see him be able to step in there and throw that ball and take the hit. That's really what we need to be able to see.
He needs to channel his inner CJ Beathard.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. I'm serious. That's the one thing CJ does well. Really. It's his best quality.
Yeah.
No joke. Leo.
It's a little weird, but a balanced offense because he's such a team guy. When the team is high, Jimmy is high. They could go run the ball for 20 times and only throw it 9 times, and Jimmy G's just having a blast because if that's the equation, that means the 49ers are dominating. So having that time of possession, a balanced offense, as well as getting the ball out quick. Jimmy G is not an Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes or Wilson to where he extends the plays to a certain point where he's throwing a 40-yard bomb down the field on a broken play. That's just not his style of play. His style of play is more Tom Brady-like of, okay, let me get this slant. Let me get this out. Let me get this in. So getting the ball out quick and Kyle Shanahan drawing up that type of offense, that's where his trajectory is still going to continue to climb.
Yeah, I kind of envision Jimmy Garoppolo. I've always said it. He's an in rhythm passer. You really have to like build him from the bottom up. And like I feel like every game you gotta treat him like if you're starting, you're like a Lego piece or something like that. If you're building like I don't know one of those cute little Star Wars things, like you really got to start and build upon it. The more you build upon it, he's gonna start looking better as you get closer to the product. So do what you've been doing, which is especially establish the run. Which I don't know why he didn't put Kyle Shanahan didn't put an emphasis in those first 4 to 5 games as heavily. It's almost like he had a 2020 playbook, and then once he went 2 and 3, he was like, all right, I got to go back to my 2019 playbook because all of a sudden I've emphasized it with Leo plenty of times. Like now we see the horizontal plays, they're going linear. All of a sudden we're seeing all these players get touches, more balanced offense, exactly like how Leo said. So I mean, just commit to that running game, stay with it because you know it's gonna work more times than not. And thank God the offensive line is starting to push bodies out there because once you get that running game, you really kind of put the defense on their heels. And as much as the book's pretty much out there in Garoppolo, it's like you know what to stop them, but teams aren't really still doing it. They're not sitting underneath. So whatever it is, just keeping them on their heels, it's working. So just continue to keep running that same game plan.
Okay.
Grant, I know you talked about this a little on Sunday, I think, but Garoppolo making those progressions and hitting those checkdowns, that was big because against Arizona, he was taking the sack. He was taking hits when he didn't need to. He killed a couple drives taking sacks. And then also he had 2 plays where he used his legs, and we haven't seen that in a while from him. He broke that tackle and got the first down on that first drive. They ended up scoring a touchdown. Then he had that play, I think it was in the 3rd quarter, where he leaked out and then threw crossbody to Debo for like 6 yards, and then Debo made a guy miss. And I haven't seen him make that throw since 2017, I think, or 2018, whatever, before the injury. And that was big for me, just showing that he has a little bit of mobility. That's never going to be something defenses game plan around. That should never be a part of the 49ers game plan. But if he can just have 1 or 2 runs where he gets a 4-yard first down, that's huge for this offense.
Yeah, and you know what was interesting about that game is he had that scramble. He dove forward to get it. It was kind of a precarious situation. He got it, and he got up, and he was screaming. He was yelling. He was fired up. And then the next 7 throws were 7 of the best throws he's ever made. He looked like vintage Jimmy. He has 1 bad throw, throws a pick, and then goes back to tentative Jimmy. Every throw's an adventure Jimmy. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. And to me, like what he needs going forward is you guys all had great answers, and they're very specific and correct. But I'm gonna go with something a little like soft science here. Like he needs a positive mental outlook, and the way you can like perceive if he has it is his smile. I'm serious. The defining characteristic on him is his smile. That's his brand, right? He's the smiler. Women love him, guys love him. He's always smiling on the field, and there's something like Steph Curry-ish about him. Early in this season, he wasn't smiling at all. I mean, it looked like he was miserable, like he was protecting himself, like he was hurt, like he didn't even really want to play. And that version of Jimmy flat out stunk. When he's smiling and he feels confident and he feels like he's good, he's really hard to beat. And I think a lot goes into his positive mental outlook, how he sees it, how he sees himself, how confident he is in his offensive line, and what his head coach is saying to him during the week. So if Kyle can keep him optimistic and happy and smiling, I think he'll be fine. But if he gets that hangdog look on his face, that's usually the sign bad things are about to come. Is there something there? The smile factor.
I think there's something there. You definitely got a point, especially as a quarterback. You can't be mentally weak. You do that, then everything's like all bad. I mean, just especially with injury-prone quarterbacks like Jimmy, who everyone was wondering how he's going to react back to his torn ACL. I mean, look at there's plenty of players who come back from injury and it's just like, all right, how are they going to be, mentally? So it's always a huge question mark.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about him. Like when he isn't smiling, he looks like straight up Brian Hoyer. Like he stinks. But when he is smiling, he's like Houdini. I mean, he always wins. So I don't know. It seemed like last year in 2019, he was smiling the whole season, no matter how he played, because the team was winning and he was a part of it. But whatever happened in the playoffs last year was tough on him, and I think it took the whole team a few weeks to get over that Super Bowl hangover. But it looks like they're back into their groove from last year, including him. So that's good. But we'll see. I'm eyes focused on that smile. I want to see that smile, Jimmy. You better smile.
We got to rate. You got to add that to your next grade piece too. Grading Jimmy's smile. Was it real? Was it fake?
He didn't have enough teeth. He kind of forced it. You could tell he wasn't smiling with his eyes. He wasn't smizing. I
didn't get blinded by a smile. F.
All right, enough Jimmy. What is one trade you would like the Niners to make at the deadline, which is like in 5 days?
Trade Grant Cohn.
I don't think you're gonna get much from me.
A couple of guys I've just been looking at, depending on price. I think the 49ers should stay on the cheaper side instead of maneuver cap space around. But Shalik Calhoun and John Simon are two guys they just saw last week with New England, depending on how New England handles it. Calhoun, I think, is a buy low option at defensive end. And then I said last week, Brian Poole. I like Brian Poole. I read today that he has no offers in on him so far. I don't know why. He's a solid slot corner, and he's a really good blitzer. Solid loves to blitz the nickel corner. And then Mackenzie Alexander is a cheap outside corner that is worth a flyer. I mean, if it's simply just swap Pettis for Mackenzie Alexander, the Bengals wouldn't do that, but I'm sure the Niners would if you swap a 6 or a 7 for him. I think that's worth it.
Okay.
Man, these trades are tough, especially, let's see, we talked about it last week. Hey, if they win, they're definitely going to be more so buyers than sellers. So right. I'd say, well, what is it they need? It's pass rush, right? So, I mean, that's why they got Jordan Willis. So it's kind of hard to envision who they're really going to get there. They're only $2 million around. You're only sitting around $2 million cap space and stuff like that. Yeah, Whoopi Duty.
Jordan Willis.
Which is so funny to me. It's like you went after Jordan Willis, but I'm sure nobody knew he's on the market, but you couldn't even touch Marcus Golden, who at least has, some talent capability. I don't know. That's why I have no hope. I have no hope for these guys being active. I talked about it yesterday on my article. I really have no, even if they win, sure, it's like more viable, but I have no hope for these guys in getting anything. The only one really I would want to see is center. Even though Grassu played well last week, I still would trust that. And then you got Richburg coming back, but yeah, you got him coming back until how long he gets back on the shelf again? What, week 16? So, I mean, I think center or pass rush is your top ones you're looking for. And at this point, no one's really selling centers unless maybe you're the Rams, Alex Mack. But then, once again, cap hit. And then who's selling pass rushers these days? I mean, Carlos Dunlap, maybe you could have got him, but you said nah. So
I kind of like Grassu, actually. That's my hot take. I think he's kind of good, but maybe not. Leo.
Willis is going to get a sack on Sunday, and we're all going to laugh about it. We're just going to laugh about it. No, it's not. Probably not going to happen. No. But I look at pass rushers because with the current team, despite any more injuries or whatever may go on, this current team, I think they're good enough to compete with every team in the NFC as well as every team in the AFC, despite the Chiefs. If you're going to beat the Chiefs, I fully believe they need another pass rusher. You're not getting Nick Bosa back. And who knows with D Ford, if you get him back, you may put him on the shelf again if you get him back. So that's just a weird thing going on there. I look at Marcus Golden and Griffin. They both went for a 6th-round pick. Don't ask me about the cap, how they could fit it in, but I would like Ryan Kerrigan from Washington. That's a guy with a high motor. Imagine a lineup with Hyder, Armstead, Kinlaw, and Kerrigan. That's pretty solid on third downs to take offenses off the field. So, like I said, don't ask me how they fit that cap. I'm not Prague. So I have no clue. But if they wanted to get that deal done, they would be able to get it done.
Yep, I'm going to go with pretty much the same thing that I think everybody else has said, and then I'm going to go with a pass rusher as well. I like the Kerrigan thing from Leo. That's a good one right there. So I'm going either pass rusher or maybe even draft, making a trade, get rid of one of these high price guys that isn't playing for a pick or two. That's kind of where I am.
You okay, Greg?
Or we can go big and trade, or we can go big and trade Jimmy for Matt Stafford.
That's what he was waiting for. That's what it is.
No, I was totally unaware that Everson Griffin was traded to the Lions. You said that, I was like, wait a second, what? I looked it up.
Yeah,
the Lions traded for him. Why?
Yeah.
Do they have any wins?
3-3.
They're half game back of the Niners for a wild card spot.
Isn't that Matt? That's Matt Patricia's third year now? They have to go for it.
Well, the Lions got Everson Griffin for a conditional 2021 6th-round pick. I mean, why did the Niners do that? He had 8.5 sacks 2 years ago. Last year, he had 8 sacks last year, and he has 2.5 sacks this year. A 6th-round pick. Come on. Okay, so I guess that's not going to happen. If Ryan Kerrigan, they get him, great. What I would say is trade Jimmy Ward. Trade Jimmy Ward. $10 million. I mean, you can't do anything with that. The way I look at it is you trade Jimmy Ward, you create $10 million in cap space, you could get another guy. Maybe the Niners didn't get Everson Griffin because they didn't have the cap space, right? They have like $100,000 in cap space and he needs $5 million. Well, you trade Jimmy Ward, you get a little, we
just traded Jack Hammer.
Jack Hammer, we got a conditional 6th.
We just traded him.
We got a conditional 6th. The Niners get Ryan Kerrigan.
Undervalue Jack. We got Jack for a solid 4th, not a conditional.
Yo.
How rude of you.
I'm sorry. All right, so I was going to say trade for Everson Griffin. That's not available. Just trade Jimmy Ward. I mean, you say like the Niners need depth. They can get depth by creating $10 million in cap space and getting other players. I like Tavarius Moore. I like this whole youth movement they're doing in the secondary. I think the secondary of Sherman, Tart, and Ward was overrated because people are emotionally attached to them. Tart and Ward have been here a long time. Sherman used to be good. It was a great front seven. Now you got a whole new guys back there, and they're doing great. The future's ahead of them. I'd like to see Tavarius Moore as the free safety of this team for a long, long time. I'm getting ahead of myself, though, and I think some of you guys are getting turned off, but I don't care because it's my time, and I say trade Jimmy Ward, which brings us into the next topic. Who is one player? Yeah, I don't care. I don't know. Someone that likes. Does anyone like him? Did the Niners bid against themselves when they gave him this $28 million contract, or were there other teams that liked him?
Supposedly, the Raiders offered more, but he wanted to stay with the 49ers.
All right, they traded the Raiders. Hey.
Raiders could use safety.
Mike, what do you want?
Yeah. Brandon Marshall.
I think they're happy. I was going to say, I think they're happy he didn't accept.
I mean,
Jimmy Ward looked good with that Raiders defense, dude. I'll tell you that right now.
Someone will want him. People seem to like him. I don't know. All right.
Seem to like him.
I don't know. He's been on this team forever, and I like plays that Jimmy Ward has made. I don't know.
He's made some plays in the locker room by hobbling and grabbing a Gatorade.
He's decent. He's not a bad player. He's just not worth $10 million, and this team's up against the cap. Create some. The thing about this team, which is my next topic, is it seems like the identity of this team is the next man up thing. Going back to last year, every time, I think it started with the Staley injury. Every time there's an injury, you're like, oh man, this is the one. This is the one that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's not. And oftentimes a backup is even better than the starter. I mean, that's happened a bunch. Look at Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, how much better is that guy than Tevin Coleman? So my question is, name one backup on this team that you think is being kind of unfairly held down due to roster politics or age or experience that actually you have a hunch is better than the guy he's backing up, better than the starter he's backing up. And you guys know who I'm going to say, so I'll save that for later. Who starts this one? I'll go with the bonus guy because you guys know what I'm going to say. Who starts this one?
I think it's Jack.
Okay, Jack.
I was going to say that the guy that's the best is going to be Verrett over Sherman.
Oh yeah, that's a good call.
That's the one that I go with. He's a much better player at this point in his career than if he can stay healthy than Sherman is. Sherman's just so slow.
He's been such a big upgrade over Sherman, and who knows if the Niners would have even got to Verrett if Sherman had stayed healthy. Who knows? So that's the primary one. What an upgrade there, Leo.
Leo's going to say Mark Taylor.
Stop
Do it.
it.
Hey.
Stop it.
Hey.
I'm actually going to say.
I want to personally apologize. Jamar Taylor balled out. Good for him. Good for him.
Get him, Leo.
I'm going to text you apologizing. but I'm gonna steal yours, Jose. It's gonna be Drake Greenlaw.
I knew you were gonna say that.
He's being held behind, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
Quan Alexander's missed tackle percentages is in the teens, and Greenlaw's at like 1%. So it's pretty obvious. Quan gives up the flat pretty freaking often on a passing play, and he's known for coverage. Rather than Greenlaw, he shoots over there like a bullet out of a pistol. So it's Greenlaw's obviously being held back because, one, he was a rookie last year, and two, Quan is being paid an insane amount of money.
And Quan was limited. He was limited today. He might be coming back.
Oh my God.
Watching Quan cover the flat.
Ward might too.
Hey, watching Quan cover the flat reminds me of Navarro Bowman's last year covering the flat for the 49ers. That's how bad it is. And at least Bowman had like
an excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, half a leg. What's Quan's excuse? Oh, I tore his pec. What does that have to do with you running, bro? Come on. Drake Greenlaw does everything, man, from that stop. I mean, when he knocked out Darrell Henderson or whatever his name is, Darrell Henderson, that running back against the Rams on the flat that saved that touchdown, and then Brett got the pick.
Yeah.
That's not, when you put Quan out there, that's not happening. They're giving that touchdown up. But since I know Leo's going to do it, I'm going to steal Granson to No, I'm just kidding.
No, go for it, because I have a different guy. Go for it.
No, I'm not going to say it. I had someone. It's going to be JaMychal Hasty because he is better than any of the 49ers running backs. Obviously not Raheem Mostert, but it's Tevin Coleman, essentially, right, would be the backup to Raheem Mostert, and then, so on and so forth, how it goes. So JaMychal Hasty is better than all of them. And I know Wilson looked good last week, but it wasn't until, the second quarter when really, you really started to put some wear. I mean, Leo, it was you or Jason or both of you who said it perfectly. Hey, this is a guy who gets better as the game goes on. But Hasty, I feel like you just put him in. I think he's just going to excel because for me, it's just his vision and his intellect, his awareness is Mostert 2.0. I feel like you plug and change him. It's just like, wow, who is it? Who's what? I mean, I just fell in love with this guy when you see in training camp. So for me, he's the second best running back on that team. And whenever Mostert gets back, if Hasty right now, if he's hitting it off, I hope he makes Kyle Shanahan think twice about who he's shuffling, because if you have Hasty and Mostert in that backfield, oh my God, that's just filthy. And then really linebackers are going to be whiffing tackles. They're just not going to know where to go in terms of angle and pursuit.
I'd like to see Shanahan use, real quick, Maverick, Mostert the way that Sean Payton uses Alvin Kamara. Like, put him in jet sweep motion sometimes. He would freak people out. He's the fastest player in the team. Anyway, Maverick, keep going.
Well, I think they did that last year with Debo in the backfield, and Raheem Mostert did that against the Seahawks in Seattle. I remember them doing that on at least one play when Kittle caught it. But I would go with I might show my Oregon bias, Hronis Grasu. I think just in this run first offense, if they're going back to how they played week 3, 4, and 5. Not Hronis Grasu. I don't think he's the best pass blocker, but he's a zone blocker. I think that's why he struggled in preseason when journalists got to see him one-on-ones, because he's not supposed to be one-on-one. I don't know why there's an alarm going off, but I'll cut my answer off there.
No, keep going. It's all right. It's not your alarm.
Dang, Leo.
Yeah. Well, I think it is.
It's not me.
Is it your alarm? Is that in your house? That's hella funny. He's out. And he's
we
gone.
traded Maverick now. It's a fire sale.
He just pulled
that means we're losing.
He just pulled a Jed York, but we're about a little deeper in the game. All right, you done? You got more to say, Maverick?
We just pulled a Bill O'Brien by how many people we're trading right now on this roundtable.
Yeah, no, that was the worst thing I've ever done.
No, it's okay.
I set an alarm yesterday, and you know how if you don't turn it off, it stays on for the next day. So yeah, that's why.
Oh no,
it's all right.
But I think I should be muted for this answer. I think my answer's cut off.
Okay.
Take points. Negative points.
Negative points.
Arcee Riley.
All right. I don't even remember the topic. What are we talking about? Oh, the backup who's better. Okay.
You're going to say Tavares Moore.
I'm going to say Tavares Moore, but I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to say Marcel Harris too. And you guys are going to be like, what? How can you say that? That's not fair.
I get it.
No, both of them. Look, we have watched Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward for a very long time. They're solid players. They're solid. When they're healthy, which isn't that often. Marcel Harris, to me, is more violent than Jaquiski Tartt. Marcel Harris is a goon. He throws his body. I like that from a strong safety. And he can play single high well enough. Tavares Moore, in my opinion, is a playmaker in a way that neither Tartt and Ward are. And they're both, 24? They're both making nothing. But if they start and the other guys, you get rid of the other guys, that's $17 million that you can spend on someone else. Yeah, I like Marcel Harris. That's the future in the secondary. The future should be now. Keep him there. and bring in Jaquaski Tart and Jimmy Ward if either of those guys gets hurt. Trade them both. Get some picks. That's what I would do. But I know you guys are looking at me like one game, and Grant just, okay, all right, well, we'll see what they do against. Maybe I'm
If
wrong.
someone offers the 49ers the third for Tart right now, I don't care that they're 4-3, pushing, closer to first place in the NFC West. That's a third-round pick for a guy you're not going to keep next year. Take it.
I think the Ravens would give it up, and I think the Niners probably were going to trade Tart if they had lost, and now they're like, well, what do we do? Hey, look at how well Marcel Harris played in that game. He made plays. He really throws his body around and is pretty violent. And I think when Tart does that, he gets hurt. Maybe Harris does too. I don't know.
And Harris really improved too, compared to when he first stepped on last year.
All the Niners young players get really good. All the Niners young players who stay on the bench and develop usually end up being really good. That's what the
you
Niners
mean to
are.
say when you give them opportunities, they develop? No way. Crazy concept.
Yeah. And I'm going to say one other guy, Dante freaking Pettis. He's better than Trent Taylor. Dante Pettis should be the number 3 receiver while Deebo Samuel's out. This Trent Taylor thing is just, it's ridiculous. He's on the team because Jimmy likes him.
Snaps?
Hey, like, what the hell is that? He hasn't done anything in 3 years. Dante Pettis should be playing over Trent Taylor. Okay, what is the biggest concern moving forward with this team?
I'd say a big concern is how many more injuries can you really overcome? I know we're just talking about depths, but how good the depth is with how the backups are stepping in, but how many more injuries to those backups can you handle? And if there's a scenario where it becomes Dante Johnson starting against Russell Wilson later in the season, that's an automatic loss.
Oh, you just jinxed us.
Wow.
So
Only I can do that.
So I've jinxed Raheem Mostert twice this year, I should say. I texted Nick before the Rams game that I'm picking the 49ers to win until Raheem Mostert gets hurt again. And then he got hurt that game.
Why would you say that?
Well,
say that?
And then if you recall, during the Jets game, he opened the game with that 80-yard rush. And then I tweeted at you guys, I was the only one to pick Mostert over 100 yards. And then I think he stops at 95 yards because of that. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We accept your apology. Thank you. We thank you for taking accountability.
Yeah.
For your mistake.
I would say biggest concern going forward is if Shanahan stops forgetting what the team's identity is, because I feel like he's like you take the half the time, Grant. You take the words out of my mouth when I can't form a sentence.
That's what I'm here for, baby.
But no, dude, when it's like he's the biggest one that holds them back, I'm just like calling like I said, man, the first 3-4 weeks, it's like this is not the team that I covered in my first year last season. What's going on here? And you can't just say, oh, injuries or some games are going behind. Like, no, they had injuries last year and they still had 2 backup offensive tackles at the same time, and they were still operating the same format, which any team, first of all, would already be well out of the water, blown out completely if they had 2 backup offensive tackles. But Shannon, I don't understand why he just doesn't look in the mirror and says, this is who I am. And he says, no, this is not who I am. I'm going to try to put on a different shirt or something like that. Like, or whatever type of weirdo stuff he gets into. I don't know what goes through his
Where are
process.
you going with this, dude?
Dude, it's just, that's wherever Shanahan's going with this, man. So just know your identity. All right. Speaking of that, Grant wore a pretty sweet. What kind of hat was that called, Grant, today?
Oh,
no, you wore that for Kittle. I know that you wore that.
Yeah, it's a little Peaky Blinders golf.
That's the show. I love that show.
I like that answer, Leo.
So I'm gonna piggyback off what Maverick said. Is the team's health. Every time we say, oh, okay, they're turning around the corner, they're getting healthy, then it's, oh no, wait, let's reverse that backwards. They're not getting healthy, and it just seems like they're going in a complete circle with that. And, if you have all these injuries, say you could put a Band-Aid over it. And then at some point, if they keep getting hurt, it's not going to be a Band-Aid anymore. It's going to be a complete laceration. You're going to need to stitch up the season and call it what it is. But that's my main concern for this team moving forward is, can they get healthy? Can they not have any more guys miss games? Because that's what keeps them into contention. Because like I said, this roster, what it is now, I believe they could fight with any team in the NFC.
Jack?
I agree with Jose. I think it's about Shanahan, and my biggest concern, I agree with him, is that he changes his hat. If he changes that hat back to what he was doing earlier in the year, that's going to be bad news. But
no sideways, no backwards, just straight.
Exactly. No, I was going to go with either him, but since Jose took him, I'm going to say Garoppolo. Honestly, he's going to need to keep playing well for this team to move on and get to where they want to go.
I'm going to say Garoppolo too, and I feel like I'm not going to say the injuries, because to me, the injuries have almost been a silver lining for this team. It's allowed everyone to see who the real good players on this team are. And it's not a secret anymore. It's not like me in practice being like, hey, Hasty's good. It's like, we all see it. Kyle, you better not play Tevin Coleman. It's out there for everyone. So that's been a good thing. Like the depth on this team is unreal, and there's a lot of players who haven't been getting the opportunity they deserve. So
it's an understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to expand on your Jimmy G?
So I'm going to say, why is it Garoppolo?
Yeah.
Because he's currently the horizontal quarterback. He throws horizontal passes, and that's working right now. I don't think it's going to be enough to win the Super Bowl. Maybe it will be. I don't think it will. I think eventually he's going to have to get to like throwing down the field. And what someone said, like, what was that the first 3 weeks of the season? Well, they're paying him $27 million a year. Everyone said this is the year he's going to take that leap, guys. Second year, he's going to take the leap. That looked like kind of the way he called offenses in Atlanta. Like Atlanta was a little bit of bombs away. They'd run it, and then they would take shots. And they can't take shots this year because of Jimmy. Well, they take a couple, and he hit them. He hit the one last week. So he needs to, like, increase the limit of what he's presenting Kyle Shanahan right now. I think it's Jimmy, which is maybe a little controversial to say because Jimmy always wins, and Kyle doesn't win without Jimmy. So maybe it's Kyle. I don't know.
I'm not denying Garoppolo's like inability to throw the ball consistently deep, but how many receivers on this roster really have that ability to go out and get it? When we say Pettis and is possibly a guy if he ever plays, and then Ayuk. But
that's
so
the thing.
with Atlanta, they had three guys that could go do that. They had Taylor Gabriel, they had Julio Jones, and I think Roddy White was still on that.
Kittle. You could say Kittle. He's kind of a downfield threat for a tight end.
Kittles.
It wasn't
Roddy
Sanu,
White.
Right? It was Sanu.
Yeah.
Sanu.
But Gabriel, yeah.
Look, I'm pretty sure where Jimmy throws the ball, it's a spiral, not a horizontal.
So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man. He's just got to. I think Kyle was calling the offense he wants to call, and that people were expecting Jimmy to be able to execute in year two, and they're back to year one, Jimmy. Just easy throws, Jimmy. So I think Kyle kind of gets bored with that offense sometimes. Frankly, I think he would like to air it out, and I think Jimmy's going to have to allow him to air it out eventually. But right now, it's like baby steps, Magoo time. Right? Fair enough. What is the biggest source of optimism for 49ers fans or the 49ers organization moving forward?
Wow, biggest source.
I don't know who starts with one. Jack.
I'll say the biggest source of optimism is the defense and the way that they're playing with all the guys that are out, and the fact that they're still in the top 10.
Yeah,
that's going to be that's one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the biggest source of it kind of contradicts what I said last, but it's going to have to be Ronald Blair. I don't think they trade for a pass rusher. But if he's able to come back healthy, that's going to be huge for this team. They're able to create the pressures with Hyder and Armstead, but they're not creating the sacks. They only have one guy in the top 30 for sacks, and that's Hyder. Blair has shown that he is a little bit athletic. I'm sure he's going to lose some of that, but he's someone who's been able to chase down Russell Wilson in the past. That's how he got hurt last year. So if they could get Ronald Blair back, I think that'll be tremendous for this defense, at least in adding some type of pass rusher.
That was a good answer out of left field. I like that one. Well, you guys all have good answers, but I was just saying. Good job, Leo. What's up?
Attaboy, Leo, baseball guy. I'd say it'd probably be the biggest source going forward right now is the offensive line, because I've horrendously looked the first 4 to 5 weeks. Then all of a sudden, armchair quarterback Nick Newman and Grant Cohn punked Mike McGlinchey and some of them to step up. So when Grant says all this, hey, credit me. I will actually 100% credit him for at least the offensive line because I thought it's like, whoa, what changed? you know what changed? All of a sudden, they got irritated. They needed to get irritated to really like, all right, I need to shut this fool up. And look, now they're shutting everyone up. Look,
also, Eric Armstead has been doing a great job of containment the last few weeks. A great job of containment.
That's a writer's job. Put people on the spotlight.
But I'm not taking credit.
Humble brag right there. But no, I think it's offensive line, because so long as these guys can get the communication going, can be cohesive like they've been looking, then all of a sudden running game should be doing good. Kyle Shanahan should have no excuses why he's like restraining his play calling, and we can be more critical of Jimmy Garoppolo than before, as opposed to like the first early weeks when he's taking hits. But now with the way it's looking, it's so much more easier.
You got to work on a McGlinchey impression, because the way that guy talks is so funny. It's like he's the senator of Pennsylvania, the way he talks.
Oh yeah, we just got to come out and play better.
Yeah, keep going, Maverick. Your turn. He's so serious.
I'd say one major source of optimism is they have the most head coaches in the NFL. They have 2 head coaches on their team, and Saleh is a great defensive game planner. I was hard on him after that Dolphins game, but he really figured it out with once he got capable players on the field. And then I think Shanahan, as long as he sticks to running the ball, this team's really hard to beat. They've shown it the last couple weeks. And as long as they stick to what's been going on, I think they're one of the top 10 teams, at least in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is no matter how many injuries this team has, no matter what kind of where Jimmy Garoppolo's confidence and psyche is, the Niners have arguably the best coaching staff in the league. It's right up there. They're never going to be out-coached. They shouldn't be out-coached in the game. And they can have the confidence, as you said, 2 head coaches, 2 guys who are masters of their X's and O's on their side of the ball. But not just that, the position coaches too, the development. Every time someone gets hurt, there's going to be some guy who's been in the system 2-3 years who's really good, and maybe even better than the guys the Niners inherited, traded for, signed, who weren't developed step by step by this team. So this coaching staff, from DeMeco Ryans to every single position coach all the way up, is such a big advantage, and it's got to be a source of confidence for the entire organization, that even when they're 2-3, as they were a couple of weekends ago, if anyone's going to figure it out, it's Kyle and Robert and those guys. So let's pick a winner this weekend. Who's going to win? Maverick, you start.
I think the 49ers are going to win. They're going to stick to the run game, and I think if they keep Russ inside the pocket, containing the outside, force them to run the ball a little more, I think they can win 27-20, and that's my final score.
Okay.
I feel like the 49ers should really hold themselves to high standards and should really believe that they should and could score 40 points, just the way how much that deep. I mean, if you got the Cardinals lining them up, I mean, I know they got Kyler Murray, who is just electric and is a walking touchdown, at least by himself. But I mean, just the way the 49ers offense has been clicking, like I said, the offensive line is doing good. And if Jimmy Garoppolo can just do what we all said and just be Jimmy, the game manager, just make those 5-8 clutch throws that he usually does, then there's no reason why this team shouldn't get 40 points. The only reason why I wouldn't see that is because, like I said earlier, they're going to run the clock. You know, it's going to be like almost like a quick game to limit possessions, which only limits them to around 30. But they really should just be looking to still light it up, long drives, and just always capitalize with touchdowns. So maybe like on the course of like 40-31.
So score touchdown. Wow. Okay, that's a good. Yeah, all right, yeah.
Wow, 40 points, huh?
40. Hey, why not? Oh, I like that.
Jeez.
You got to take a mighty hack. Some of us come up here and bunt. Not Jose, man. He swings for the fences. I like that.
Hey, man. Yeah. Barry Bonds here. Right. Let's go.
We're all it's like mirrorized, right? So it looks like we're lefties and stuff. It's annoying. Keep going.
I am actually lefty.
Oh, you are? I'm confused.
I switch.
Nice. Oh, okay.
In
Switch it
baseball.
over here. That's cool. Oh.
Yeah.
He switches from the bench to water boy. That's what he switches from.
Hey, it's as long as I have a contract with somebody.
Maverick, who's winning this game? No, who's it? No,
I already went.
No, it's me. It's me.
Maverick.
Sorry.
He's like the middle child. It's always on Maverick.
Maverick's my favorite. Keep going.
It's because he looks like McMorris. That's why you're right.
Sorry, Leo.
So I got the Niners by 2, and I think they're gonna just try to control this game because they want to limit the opportunities Russ gets. Because if you don't limit his opportunities, he's eventually gonna cook, as they say over there in Seattle.
Stop saying that. So terrible.
He's gonna cook, all right.
I hate when they say that.
Just because you can't cook doesn't mean he can't cook.
This
All
morning.
right?
What are you talking about?
But and I think as far as for the 49ers, JaMychal Hasty, I think he's going to keep that run game going to where everyone's going to have that high confidence from the O-line to Kittle to Garoppolo.
Okay. Jack.
I'm really excited for this one. This is going to really, I think, show where the Niners are and really set up for the second half of the season. I think it's going to be a great game. Somewhere in the 20 for both teams is really what I think it's going to be. I'm going to keep my streak alive of being wrong on the 49ers picks week after week. I'm going to go Seahawks just for that reason, because every week I lose. So I'm going with the Seahawks 27-24. But I really think the Niners are going to win this thing.
Who keeps calling me? Oh, just a second.
They calling me.
They calling me. Yeah. So look, I think the Niners should win this game because I think the Niners are a more complete team, but they're just coming back from New England. Have you guys ever flown back from Boston? It's like a 7-hour flight. It's so far away. It's further than New York. It's really far. And I gotta say, I'm not down there, but just watching on Zoom, some of these guys look jet lagged. Some of these guys look a little drained, and I could be wrong. But it seems like the last couple of years in the games where the Niners come back from the East Coast, their games aren't so good. They had the game against Pittsburgh where they committed 1 million turnovers, the game against Philly where they committed 1 million turnovers. Maybe I'm missing one. But I'm still sticking with the Niners, but that gives me a little pause. Just looking at them like, God. Like they should be better and recovered by Sunday, but it seems like the first few days when you come back after that long trip to the East Coast is just brutal. So I'm picking the Niners. We mentioned what they had to do. One other thing that someone mentioned that Vic Fangio used to always talk about, I wanted to mention. No stunts and twists. Vic Fangio was the stunt and twist master. I was just learning football when I started covering this team, and I never really knew what a stunt and twist was. He did that all the time with Alden Smith, and I learned.
Yeah.
But what I also learned is he wouldn't do it very much against the Seahawks because the idea is you don't want guys getting out of gaps.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going against Russell Wilson, you want 4, preferably 5 guys bull rushing straight ahead. Containing and bull rushing and pushing guys back and just constricting. What you don't want is guys looping around. So keep it simple. When you go back and watch week 1 against Kyler Murray, when he started to get off in the second half, he was taking advantage of twists, stunts, games. Don't let that happen again. Just play. Do what Vic Fangio would have done. Get a good night's sleep, take some melatonin, and you'll win. So I'm picking the Niners. I don't have a score yet, though. It's too early in the week. Guys, this was our
Thursday.
Best. I know. I'm not prepared. I don't even know. Maverick, you're up. Your turn. I'm just
27-20.
27-20, guys. I got to go pick up my wife. We're getting close to 5 o'clock. And Thursday night football. Who's playing tonight?
Falcons, Panthers.
Oh, a couple of great teams. All right.
Mike Davis, Seahawks and Niner legend.
Legend.
Hey,
South
Grant.
Carolina. What's up? What?
I'll call you. I'll call you.
All right. Love you.
Love
See
you,
ya.
Dan.